Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the NGK UAE ProCar Championship, race one from the Dubai Autodrome. And it's the first of two races over the course of the day, round three of the championship. So we are obviously bringing the cars to the starting grid, and the drivers will come out onto the grid. It's been a fantastic battle in qualifying so far. We have had some spectacular racing from the competitors last week, and they will do it all again today. The drivers will make their way to the starting grid, and they will form up on the race grid here at Dubai Autodrome. It's the longer configuration of circuit compared to last week. Last week we were on the international circuit. This week we are on the full configuration of the Grand Prix circuit. So it is obviously going to be a bit of a tougher challenge for the cars and drivers. You can see them just getting their tyres and brakes up to temperature as they weave from side to side on the back straight. And there are going to be two phenomenal races from this much beloved NGK Sparkplugs UAE ProCar Championship 2022. The third race of the category in 2022. I'm Jake Sanson. Beside me is the voice of Dubai Autodrome, Chris Milbourne. It's with a lot of enthusiasm and excitement that we obviously go into racing, but it is also with a little bit of a somber note at the same time, because we have had a rather sad departure from the local motor racing scene here. Chris, I think it's very important that we pay tribute to a fallen colleague here amongst the NGK UAE ProCar Championship paddock.
Yes, and unfortunately, we got to note that unfortunately, the son of the former NGK UAE ProCar racer, Thomas Sorensen, his young son, Viggo Sorensen, unfortunately passed away at a young age. And Viggo has been supporting his father racing at the Dubai Autodrome from a young age and is well known and liked amongst all competitors as well as officials. And to honour his memory, of course, this weekend, a lot of the drivers will be holding the name Viggo on the side of their car, especially in the Clio Cup category. As Jake said, it comes with a very heavy heart, and this is news that we don't like to hear about. But unfortunately, we will have a moment of silence once the cars have formed up on the grid to honour this young man.
It's never a nice thing to be able to say goodbye to someone, especially when it is before time. Obviously a very much beloved and cherished member of the paddock. Not all of the members of the paddock are racers, of course, and when you have such a close-knit and strong community as this in motor racing, every single member of the family becomes very dear to the heart of every driver, and that's one of the beautiful elements of the NGK UAE ProCar Championship. Yes, they are racers, yes, they are rivals, but they are also a family, and every member of the community is very much cherished and special. And on this particular occasion, we, with a very heavy heart and a very somber feeling, have to say goodbye to Viggo Sorensen. So we will do that with a mark of respect on the start-finish line here at the Dubai Autodrome. Viggo loved the sport. He loved being part of the paddock and the community. And as difficult as it is for the family, they obviously still very much hold the sport dearly, so they wanted to show this mark of respect in the only way that I think is dignified and correct for someone so beloved by the community.
And as the cars now start to form up on the grid, we will take a moment of silence for Viggo Sorensen once the cars have formed up in their position.
So the cars here are on the starting grid, forming up into position. Many of the Clio Cup class in particular are carrying very special messages on the car. In particular, the word Viggo marks resplendent. So we would ask everybody around the circuit to join with us in memory of Viggo Sorensen here on the Dubai Autodrome. Thank you all very much indeed. It is with a heavy heart that we have to pay tribute to a young and beloved colleague, Viggo Sorensen, but he loved motor racing as much as all of us and would not want us to stop, and so we continue racing in his honour and in his memory this weekend.
And it certainly is a stellar lineup we have here for the NGK UAE ProCar Championship. The cars now are finally, or the final car's now slotting position. I see Kevin Day's there. We don't get a good view of that thwack on the side of his car, though, unfortunately, because we're looking at the right-hand side. It's the left-hand passenger door that has the dent on the side of it, which I'm still baffled how he has not put a new door on it. I know it might disrupt the livery and everything, because that's, of course, where the XL Motorsport branding is, but he's really got to do something about that thwack on the side of the car there. As the final preparations are underway, you can see a few of the doors are open on some of the cars. Of course, that is because there is no cooling inside the car. It is warm here today. Now, a few of the drivers are fortunate enough to have shade, at least on their side of the grid. That is, of course, the right-hand side of the grid in the pictures, but, of course, the left-hand side going down towards turn one. So, of course, their cars will be slightly cooler than, say, the other ones. So Will Morrison's got his door open to keep himself cool behind the wheel of his number 69 Clio. Of course, he will line up alongside Kevin Day, and he's the third highest placed Renault Clio, although looks like Kevin Day's slightly further ahead. Of course, that will be adjusted in due time when we come to the formation lap here, as the grid now being cleared of personnel, except for a handful. Actually, no, everyone's being cleared off the grid, aren't they, here in preparation for the start of the first race of the weekend for the NGK UAE ProCar Championship. And, of course, it is included with multiple classes as we had before. We've got Class 1, we've got Class 2, we have the GTA category as well. And, well, this weekend we don't have the 86s because, unfortunately, there's only one 86 on the field, and that is Avik Anwar's number 44. So he's been bumped up and moved into a different class. So we'll have to see what Avik Anwar can do here this weekend. Of course, we do have two generations of Clio. We have the Gen 3 and the Gen 5. Clio Cup cars here. Of course, Gen 1 races in Class 2. Gen 3, races in Class 2. And it's the Generation 5 cars that actually race in their own single category, which is called the Clio Cup. And I've just seen on Erzo Spinkowicz's car that his passenger window is completely open. Jake, I can't imagine that's very good for aero at all, because that's just going to allow air to just go straight in, and it's going to disrupt the entire car. But if he's been doing that this whole weekend, maybe he's got a little secret going on in there, hasn't he? I mean,
it's very interesting in terms of setup and design of the race car. I mean, obviously they haven't taken out the electric window function in that particular Clio, but in that particular machine. So it's not ideal, but Jezek Spinkovic obviously deciding, you know what, I quite like having the electric windows, because you never know, it might come in handy. So we get ourselves ready then for NGK UAE ProCar Championship Race 1 this weekend here at Dubai Autodrome. Jake Sanson and Chris Milbourne with you once again, and it is definitely going to be a fabulous battle as the competitors get themselves ready to go around. And once again, it will be a rolling start, as it always is in the ProCar Championship. Our safety car will once again take us around. Katarin Wojciu, the safety car driver, will once again do his duty. And he sets off on the rolling lap. Everybody else will be in position behind, and everything will run to schedule. So it'll be our man at the front end of the grid once again after a brilliant performance in the timed qualifying session for the NGK UAE ProCar Championship this morning. In their timed qualifying session, it was Hilal Al-Mazroui in the Porsche 977 from Rennie Munich from the FIA World Touring Car Cup, in his very trusty allinkle.com Munich Motorsport Honda Civic in second place from the TCR category. Then it is Fabien Dufieux in the BMW, Ahmed Al-Majid in his Porsche, and then Alexandros Anivas, Ricky Kumba, and then the Clios of Jezek Spinkovic, Benjamin Goethe, Kevin Day and Will Morrison, Rahil Taneja, Eduardo Miranda, Jahid Karim, Charlotte Simmons, Sultan Al-Sawaidi. And then towards the back of the grid, we have Roald Goethe, Arafin Rafai, Avik Anwar, and filling up the grid at the back, it is Ahmed Al-Malaihi.
So the formation lap underway here, and I think I just noticed as well, just before the drivers got going, that Spinkovic must have been listening to us, because he's wound his window up, hasn't he, on the side of his car there. So about to get underway here for the first time for the weekend for the NGK UAE ProCar Championship, the premier oh, you could say the UAE ProCar Championship. Used to be called the Touring Car Championship. Some do still refer to it, but it is the Premier Series here at the Dubai Autodrome. And of course, NGK have been supporting us throughout, and continued support is always a thing that we love here. So it's great to have NGK back with us again here for the UAE ProCar Championship, as there is one of the Gen 3 Clios. Now, of course, that's in Class Class 2 actually, because that's mixed in with the DC5 that you can just see in the centre of your screen now, just behind Alexandros Anivas. That's the Honda Integra of Ricky Kumba. The other Class 2 cars are, of course, the older spec Renault Clios and the A86, which is way back at the end of the field, which is Avik Anwar behind him. A very quick driver indeed, but a shame that we don't have other 86s for him to do battle with, because it's always fun watching Avik Anwar battle his way through the field and take a win as well. He always puts on a fantastic show here and putting Bangladesh on the map in terms of racing as well. So we're about halfway through here, a track before we start the first race of the NGK UAE ProCar Championship, and it will be the 977 that shares the front row of the grid with the 77 of René Munich, and then it's Fabien Defucht with Ahmed Al-Majid alongside Fukam. Of course, Ahmed Al-Majid has promoted himself from racing in the A86 category all the way up into the GTA category, because of course he raced in the Toyota last week, and now he's it's the GTC category, not GTA, and now he's behind the wheel of the Porsche that Hilal Al-Mazrouri raced in last weekend against Saif Al-Ameri. And of course, Al-Mazrouri is now taken over the driving duties for the 977, which of course is the race-winning GTC car from last week. So we will have a rolling start as we work our way now through and into the bowl complex. It looks like we're forming up double file here for the start of the first NGK UAE ProCar Championship. Through the bowl we go. We'll watch the BMW peel into pit lane, because of course that is our safety car here for the weekend, and it will dart off to the left of your screen here. Of course, it'll dart off off to the right actually, because we'll get a shot from behind. No, we won't, because the cars will roll through, and then we'll see them come into view down towards turn 16, Jake. But here we go, race 1 of the NGK UAE ProCar Championship about to get underway.
If last week was anything to go by, you're in for a thrill fest. Here they come out of the final turn, and they will charge their way down the main straight as they battle away for position. This is going to be one heck of a show. Can Hilal Al-Mazrouri get the job done out in first position? When the lights go out, we will be racing down to turn 1 at the Dubai Autodrome. Wait for it, green, 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 and we're away down to the first corner. Cracking start for René Munich. He's already going to try and fend off from Fabien Defucht, but a cracking start from Ahmed Al-Majid. He's blasted ahead of them all, and he's actually going to get up alongside Hilal Al-Mazrouri. So Al-Mazrouri is going to have to hold on the inside line. The Clios are getting very racy as Kevin Day gets up alongside Jezek Spinkovic, and as they go through, whoa, René Munich actually goes right round the outside and has overtaken about 3 cars going off on the runoff. He's going to have to concede those positions again, as Kevin Day has dropped back behind first Benjamin Goethe and then Will Morrison as he works his way through. And that's Rahel Tunasia trying to stay out of trouble. Jezek Spinkovic gets the perfect start, and as you can see, Alexandros Anivas is being given leave to go past the Honda Civic TCR of René Munich, so at least he has conceded the positions he gained, so racing can begin in earnest.
So it looks like Ahmed Al-Majid got a fantastic start, but then turn 1 appeared and he thought, oh, I need to brake, I need to stop now, and unfortunately he lost positions, which caused René Munich, who was behind him, to take avoiding action. That's why he went off to the left-hand side there. But the good news is no contact, but unfortunately for Ahmed Al-Majid, he's lost heaps of places, because he's lost out to both the TCR cars and the BMW M4, but he's going to try around and make it 3 wide. But René Munich and Alexander Tanivas going side by side through turn 10. Anivas, the Greek driver, gets the jump on René Munich as he's slightly later on the brakes and shuts the door on Munich. As at the beginning as well, Eduardo Miranda, he was trying to use as much of the track as he humanly could, because he was all the way off of the runoff area on the left-hand side over the white lines as well, trying to get a move stuck before turn 1 even came into the picture here. Jezek Spinkovic leading the Clio Cup category, and just behind is Rahel Tunasia, and it's Benjamin Goethe who's driving the Stuart Hall car from last week, with Ricky Kumba just behind as well. And looked like a little bit of a lock up there from the Benjamin Goethe car, who's now applying the pressure to the back end of Rahel Tunasia car here. This is the battle for second position. Here he comes on the inside, goes Benjamin Goethe, but has to think better of it, because that could have been dicey there. But Ricky Kumba is trying to capitalise on this, because he's trying to go around the outside through the bowl complex, as Rahel Rohil Tanaja now gets a little bit of breathing room here because, of course, Ricky Kumba all over the back of Benjamin Goethe here, which is making him defend from Ricky Kumba. But here he comes on the inside. Rohil Tanaja was caught napping there by the looks of it. No defence whatsoever, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was a little bit sluggish on the way through the final corner, but the Clios are now making their way down the straight. Spinkovic, Kumba is trying to get himself alongside Goethe, and then Tanaja is going to try and get himself back into second place in class. And then behind them, we've obviously got Morrison and Day having a great scrap. Day's going to make his bid on the inside. Kumba's going to get past the Clio. He'd better let him go, really, because there's no point trying to battle with him, because they're obviously in different classes. So the Clio lets the Honda go by. But further back, it's getting a little bit spicy between Morrison and Day. I didn't quite see how that little tussle ended up working out. But Ricky Kumba certainly running in fine position in front of Benjamin Goethe. That is to be expected. So Spinkovic in front of Goethe, and then Tanaja in the top three of the Clio race. Then it is Kevin Day in front. So Morrison has actually lost 2 positions. He's gone down behind Eduardo Miranda as well. And there is Charlotte Simmons running in P7 of the Clios. A little further up the road, René Munich is caught up to Alexandros Anivas. And so the Greek driver is going to have to work hard to keep the German at bay. So René Munich is doing his best to try and get through on the inside line. But is he going to get his opportunity to move forward? That is going to be the key factor, as René Munich is doing his best to get past Alexandros Anivas. Anivas is in the similar TCR machine, the Cupra. So those two are going to be squabbling throughout.
And it was interesting talking to Alexandros Anivas last week during the podium presentation that he said he was just 0.2 of a second slower than his best laps here around the Autodrome. And if there's anyone that knows the Autodrome at the back of the hand, Alexandros Anivas is your man here. He's raced in all sorts of cars here around the Dubai Autodrome and throughout many years of racing as well. But he was just so unhappy with himself last week on the international circuit configuration. But now he's come back this week and he seems to have really gotten to the groove of things, because he's keeping a World Touring car driver at bay right now. He's keeping René Munich behind him, and he's not allowing him through. As Eduardo Miranda's got past Will Morrison, as has Kevin Day, and now that would move them up into, now that would be 3rd overall in the Clio Cup. Yes, it would, because now Kevin Day is in 3rd with Eduardo Miranda in 4th position, with Will Morrison now down into 5th position. And, well, Eduardo Miranda, he'd like to be in 3rd position here, because he's all over the back of the Clio of Kevin Day as they work their way now through the final corner there. Here's Rohil Tanaja. Great to see him up on the 2nd step of the podium provisionally for now. He is in 2nd place for the time being, and he hasn't lost Benjamin Goethe either. So he can't quite count out a win just yet for the Indian driver, looking for a way through. He's picking up the toes. We go down towards turn 1 here. Can he make a move on the inside? I don't think he's close enough, Jake, to make a move this time round. Not
this time around, but certainly if he keeps picking up the pace and he's looking after the tyres the way he seems to be doing, then he's definitely going in the right direction for it. But certainly no change for Hillel Al-Mazroui at the moment. And then Fabien Defieux in 2nd position overall, and certainly leading the class. He must be having a bit of a nosebleed at the moment. He was really struggling to run at the front yesterday. So a fascinating battle as they continued. Now, car 77, that is René Munich, has been reported to the stewards for gaining an advantage off track. Now, he gave those positions back, so perhaps they feel he really should have given more time than that.
He did, and he was behind Hilal Al-Mazroui, who's the race leader, but he was actually also behind Ahmed Al-Majid and Alexandros Anivas. So it does seem to believe that the race stewards might think that he needs to give a little bit more time now. He still hasn't found a way past Alexandros Anivas, and maybe this is why Ahmed Al-Majid is sort of biding his time. Of course, there is a massive step from the A86 car that we have here, running with a 4-cylinder engine. It's exactly stock as you would get a Toyota GT86 from the showroom. There is the only components that are different are the internals, and Eduardo Miranda looking for a way through Kevin Day, and it looks like he's made the move stick, or has he? Because Kevin Day is going to re-attack here. He wants to maintain 3rd position. So we're looking at the race start here from the Clios. No, we're not. We're looking at what happened to René Munich, and it just looked like he ran out of room and just thought better of it. I can't go to the back of the Porsche, can I?
No, so essentially he decides to go left, and look, he's just overtaken all 3 of them in the process. Now, he let 2 of them go, but he didn't let the 3rd one go. He didn't let the Porsche go. So that's why the stewards are investigating it, because they could well feel that, well, you didn't give back all the positions you were supposed to.
And here we go. Great battle here for 3rd overall in the Clio Cup categories. Eduardo Miranda on the inside and Kevin Day still with that dent on the left-hand side of his car, challenging for 4th position, unfortunately, now because Will Morrison is in the mix as well. He'd like to move up the race order 2 in the Clio Cup category as he is tucked in behind Kevin Day, but Eduardo Miranda now goes into 3rd position overall. Speaker which has really capitalised here on the early stage of the race, putting a massive gap between himself and Benjamin Goethe, and then Rahil Tanaja currently in 3rd position. So actually we've got to replay the start here.
Now this is very interesting because look at the front row. They actually are getting off the road quite sluggishly. So initially, you've got even the tightening up of the configuration of the field means that the Clios ended up getting off-road a little bit. That gave Ahmed Al-Majid a fantastic start, and he was actually initially leading on the way down to the braking zone for turn 1. So it got very interesting indeed. But now the racers are starting to settle into a bit of a rhythm, particularly towards the tail end of the field. This is a great little battle stepping up as all those of you who are watching, wherever you're watching around the world, and I know for a fact that we've got the likes of Pixel Pete and Seabird watching out in America to all of the fantastic battles. Hello guys, hope you're having a great race. And what a race. Alexandros Anivas is trying to shake off Rennie Munich. He locks up big time into the right-hand hairpin. There's not a lot that Rennie Munich can do about this at the moment because Alexandros Anivas is keeping his car in exactly the right places on the racetrack. He's not parking it left, he's not parking it right, he's putting it right in the dead center of the circuit. So there's not really a lot that Munich can do except go for a big maneuver. He's going to have a think about it, and Anivas locks up and he's going to drift wide. That'll do. Munich's going to get back on the throttle. No, you don't, says Anivas, right on the far side. Don't even think about it. I'm shutting this door for good.
And yeah, it's Animas as a wily old fox is quite difficult to pass as well, but Rennie Munich is giving it all he can down towards turn 16 as we just go back to, this is now 3rd position again, and we've got a 3-way battle over it. Oh no,
it's gone into a big accident. Oh, big accident. Eduardo Miranda goes into the wall and Kevin Day goes with him.
And unfortunately, that just looked like he had nowhere to go. He just came across the front of me. He had no time to stop. But unfortunately, an incident there.
Now, that is going to be safety car, if not red flag, because there was so much debris all over the road as Munich finally gets the move done on Alexandros Anivas just before. But it's almost certainly going to be a safety car because there is a lot. Yep, safety car, safety car. So let's have a look at that on the replay because that was a big maneuver into the hairpin. So let's look. You've got Tanasia. Miranda's trying to get past him. Day sees a spot on the inside, leans on him off the curb. They drift into each other. Tanasia doesn't realise that he's got 2 cars alongside him. He spears into the side of Miranda. Miranda can't stop the car. He drifts into Day. Those 2 absolutely blameless. And Tanasia goes around as well. He spins it. But these 2 definitely come off worse, and there's a lot of damage to Eduardo Miranda's car.
And that 4th car in the mix there was Will Morrison. With all that experience, he knew exactly what was happening. He knew exactly where to put his car to avoid any incident and any damage. A fantastic job there from Will Morrison to work his way through that accident. But unfortunately, yes, the safety car has been deployed, and it just looked like, I mean, you can't really put blame on anyone there because everyone is going their own different way. Kevin Day did have the inside line there from Eduardo Miranda, and those 2 were battling. It looked like Rahil gave them enough space, but then, like you said, it looked like he didn't check the right mirror, and he saw those 2 and unfortunately just clipped the front end.
Yeah, if you had to blame somebody for it, I think it's a racing incident, but if you had to blame anybody for it, you would probably look at Rahil Tanasia just because he went into the right-hander and he basically took his racing line without awareness of what was coming up behind him. I actually want to have a look at that incident again if we can. So let's have a look at it one more time because obviously you can see the debris all over the circuit. So let's look at it one more time. So look, Tanasia's going right. He doesn't realise that Miranda's even there. So Miranda has no opportunity. He spears into the side of Day. He's going too fast at that point because he's on the acceleration. Bang! Hits the wall and the front end of the car disintegrates into 1,000 pieces. Tanasia has already lost the car as well. So he's spun it around. Kevin Day has absolutely nowhere he can park the car. He can't get out of it.
He really can't, and that's really unfortunate for Kevin Day as well because, to be honest, it looked like both Eduardo and Kevin Day, they were in their little race, and there they are, they're just talking to each other.
Look at that. That's the sportsmanship. That's the camaraderie. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm all right. They're not having a go at each other. They're not blaming each other. That was a pure racing incident. One of those things, 2 guys in the same bit of racetrack. There's no ignominy between those 2. That's as it should be.
Exactly. And it just, unfortunately, they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Rahil Tanaja did actually get his car going in because you can just see him up ahead there behind the Sultan Al Suwaidi safety car. So he's managed to get his Clio up and running after the spin, so he is on his way, but that course shakes up the order. Benjamin Goethe leads the Clio Cups ahead now of Will Morrison, and now Charlotte Simmons looking for a podium finishing position here. However, on the restart, she'll have to deal with Sultan Al Suwaidi because he'll be right behind her during that time. And of course, the medical crew there and the recovery, as always, a fantastic job from all the stewards, the marshals, everything like that, on the scene in literally no time.
Yeah, great response there from the team. You have to give a massive shout out to the Orange Army, as they are known, the marshals around the course. Without them, you cannot have any motor racing at all, so we are very much indebted to them, and they've managed to get things sorted out very quickly. Just a note on the timing screen is that a contact between 5 and 75 will be investigated after the race. That is, of course, Miranda and Day, so obviously it makes a lot of sense to wait till the end of the race to unpick that incident. I don't think there's going to be any decision made on that one for a while. However, we are under safety car conditions with 12 minutes and 17 to go. That's going to be a long clean-up because there's a lot of debris there.
It will as well, and I've just realised as well, I keep forgetting Spinkowicz is here because he's using a postcode of his own in the Clio Cups, and he's a million miles away from Benjamin Goethe. He's actually leading that category ahead of Benjamin Goethe, and then it's Will Morrison in third place. So Charlotte Simmons is actually just outside of the podium finishing position. But however, now with the safety car queue building, she now has a real chance to be on that third step of the podium, if not higher, if calamity strikes again. So the cars weave their way across the start-finish line here behind the safety car. Of course, these drivers will be trying to catch up to the field, but it's a great shot to see all these Clios all together, and you can see the difference as well between the two Clios because we've got a heap of them in the front, which are the Gen 5, and you've got the red car just at the back there, which is the Gen 3. As we will cycle our way through turn 1, and we do wait for the clean-up to be completed.
That is a long clean-up job, isn't it? We're not going to be going live in the next couple of laps. So let's go back and have a look at some of the moments prior to this red flags, to the safety car, sorry. So the lights went out. They barely moved on the front row of the grid, and that's what gave Ahmed Al-Majid a great start on the right-hand side into turn 1. Now, this is where things got a little bit edgy, and René Munich decided, you know what? I'm going to make my own racetrack. He just shot far on the far side, and now he gave 2 of the places back, but he didn't give the 3rd. So he's now under investigation for gaining an advantage by going off track. Some great battles in the Clios right from the get-go. This was Kumba just managing to make his way past Benjamin Goethe as he gets by. So Benjamin Goethe has to let him go. Now this is Munich versus Alexandros Nivas. And obviously there was a great little tussle between these two. This is how intense the battles can get between the two cars in the same class. And Nivas has gone wide. Munich is on the inside. But as they go through the hairpin, they're on the upshot of the camber. Bang! Big shunt. That's at racing speed. And you could see that accident happening a mile away because there were 3 cars trying to get into the same bit of racetrack. Tanasia doesn't see what's going on in his mirrors, spears into the side of Miranda. At that speed and that change of trajectory, Miranda's a passenger.
And the good news is, if you just joined us as well, both drivers got out of the car under their own power, so they are both okay. Of course, the medical crew on site just for formality reasons there.
Yeah, it's protocol, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So here is the start of the safety car train. You can see it's rather empty, Jake. There's only 5 cars weaving their way. There's René Munich and Alexandros Anivas.
I mean, fair play to Katalin Wojciech. He is actually slowing them up big time, as if to say, well, where's everybody else? Come on, you've got to catch up to us again. Come on, put your foot down. They can't do it at racing speed, but they have to go a little bit slower than a snail on a joyride.
So there were some slight issues last week with the Clio Cups. Apparently some of them were trying to overtake one another during a Code 60, so I think they might be watching themselves ever so slightly here and thinking, okay, I'm not supposed to do this, I can't speed up, I'm going to do it the right way. And of course, for Katalin Wojciech, who's out in front of the field at the moment, he's probably getting infuriated, as are the drivers behind him, because they want to get going again, but they can't get going because also, not just because of the recovery effort underway, but also the Clios are miles behind them. They need to pick up the pace here. So we'll see that happen in due time. But for Katalin Wojciech, he is in front of the field with Hilal Al-Mazuri, who is our race leader on track, followed by the BMW M4, Firmin de Fuchs, and then Ahmed Al-Majid in the second of the Porsches. And it looks like before the safety car came out, Ahmed Al-Majid somehow found a way past both René Munich and Alexandros Anivas, and that is good news, Jake, because the recovery vehicles are leaving the track.
That's phenomenally quick work. I genuinely thought we were going to finish this race under safety car, and has it actually made the dent bigger?
I'm trying to look if it's actually added a dent to the front end.
I think it might have done, yeah, possibly. Well, look at how fast the marshals have worked. I genuinely thought we were going to finish this race under safety car with that much debris, that much damage. And look how quick they have mobilised. That is amazing work from the Dubai Autodrome safety team. They have been absolutely rapid. They got to the scene pretty quickly, considering that that's a corner that doesn't really see a massive amount of drama on that side of the road. On the other side of the road, yes, where there's runoff, but usually drivers and cars can get out of it. So that's an odd accident. So the recovery team have got there ridiculously quickly, and they've swept it up even quicker than that.
So now the teams have an additional issue because, of course, we run 2 races for the NGK UAE ProCar Championship on the same day, and we have quite a tight schedule here. We've got some single-seater action coming up after this, of course, and Gulf Radical Cup, can't forget them. This is now going to put crunch time on the team because they're going to have to try and fix Eduardo Miranda. I think the damage to Kevin Day's Exxon Motorsport Clio is a lot less significant. It looks like all the wheels are pointing the right direction. There's a slight bit of damage on the left front, but it looks more in shape than, say, Eduardo Miranda's car.
Well, Kevin Day is probably on the phone to the mechanics. Get Jamie's car from a couple of weeks ago. Quick, get it mobilised. Swap the seats over. I need to get comfortable in it. So that's not going to be too big a problem. Eduardo Miranda, on the other hand, that's... I think I've seen cars in that state advertised on eBay as spares. I think that's pretty much done and dusted now, isn't it?
Yeah, which is really unfortunate because the young Mexican is very rapid indeed. He's always good fun to watch here at the Dubai Autodrome in the NGK UAE ProCar Championship. But the recovery effort has been completed. Now, I wonder if we do get back to racing soon, as we've just seen Kevin Day's car come under opposition. It looks in rather good condition, if I'm not honest.
That's one careful owner coming back in, isn't it? Yeah, that's all right, actually. His car can do a little bit of spitting and polish and just making sure that the car is intact and, you know, nothing's majorly broken. And Kevin Day can probably take up the start of race 2. Eduardo Miranda, however, well, he may be out for the weekend, never mind for the rest of the day.
So the lights on the safety car are out, but
amazing.
It's this safety car's going at speed, but as was Hilal Al-Mazrouri by the looks of it. It looks like he was trying to match the speed of the safety car. So I don't know if he's trying to be cheeky and drop Fabian, but it looks like Fabian has actually stayed with him, as has the rest of the field. Maybe he'll slow down now this time round because we're coming to the restart as the safety car will pull into the pit lane. It's up to Al-Mazrouri to bring them through the final corner, and he's not lost that BMW, Jake, at all, has he, coming down towards turn 16, and he's bringing the other cars behind, the Porsche and the 2 TCR cars.
I think this might have backfired a little bit on Al-Mazrouri. He's got to hope that the straight line speed because he was very deep into the apex. The other cars have finally caught up and are on the same racetrack. Watch now for the man in 3rd position. He's got a great chance here to move forward. This is Ahmed Al-Majid having a go at Fabian Defieux. And Defieux in the BMW is desperately trying to hold on to his position. Meanwhile, we've got Munich and Ivas still banging 7 bells out of each other's quarter panels. So it could be very interesting between those two. Great to see the very clean and very intense racing that we've seen from those two in the class category. It's very easy for contact to come into play in touring car racing, but these two, clean as a whistle and absolutely hard as nails. As an Ivas has another look on the inside of Rennie Munich, and Munich might just go deep here through the apex of the hairpin, and they're almost level again as Alexandros Anivas tries another good trick on Rennie Munich. He's just trying to push him into a mistake, and he's getting very tight, leaning in on the hairpin, and the Clios are going at it 7 bells as well, as Jerzy Spinkovic has got big pressure from behind him from Benjamin Goethe. Benjamin Goethe trying to make his move, as down the back straight we've got Hilal Al-Mazrouri, Fabian Defieux trying to shake off Ahmed Al-Majid in the Porsche, and now Alexandros Anivas is going to try and put Rennie Munich under pressure. Alexandros Anivas locks up and he almost spears the back of the Honda Civic. Cold brakes, cold tyres, so easy to do on a restart.
And unfortunately that's going to lose him heaps of ground as well to the back end of Rennie Munich, which is going to allow him to escape the road, and of course now he doesn't have to worry about defensive, but nonetheless great reaction time there from Alexandros Anivas. Unfortunately did lock up because of cold brakes, just didn't keep the temperature in during the safety car period. But again, great reaction time not to drive into the back of Rennie Munich. Now, Jerzy Spinkovic now actually under pressure from Benjamin Goethe. So when they come across the line, it was 0.2 of a second, and that gap is, well, it's stagnating at the moment, and he's really coming under pressure because Benjamin Goethe, well, he fancies a win here in the Clio Cup category. He wants to ruin the streak of Spinkovic here because, of course, Spinkovic won 2 races last time out in the NGK UAE ProCar Championship. Benjamin Goethe, who we've not seen race in the championship this season so far, well, he'd like to ruin the party and he'd like a win here. And can he do it? We've got 3 on on the clock as the race leads across the line. Ahmed Al-Marji looking for a way past Fabian Defuchs across the line as well. And now he'll be in hot pursuit of the 977 out in front. Of course, that is also the car that Rabdan Motorsport by ID Racing used in both the 24 Hours of Dubai, where I think they finished 4th overall in class, and they finished on the podium in the 6 Hours of Abu Dhabi a couple of weeks ago as well. And they brought that car back to race in the NGK UAE ProCar Championship. Of course, a full Emirati team as well. Unfortunately, we don't see Saif Al-Ameri behind the wheel. A fantastic character he is, but unfortunately may have other duties here this weekend.
So this battle is still raging as Ahmed Al-Majid has managed to get the move done on Fabien Defiot. But you can see just how big that lockup has affected Alexandros Anivas in terms of pace. There's Munich. Where's Anivas? There he is. That's how much time he's lost by locking up in such a horrendous fashion. So easy to do, but it's lost him a bit of ground, but it's also lost him a bit of rhythm as well. As Ahmed Al-Majid is desperately trying to shake off Fabien Defiot. This BMW is pretty rapid, actually, and on the back straight, he'll pick up some of the toe of that Porsche. But this is where, you know, the car has a bit more mechanical grip with the BMW than it does the Porsche. But the Porsche is very quick in a straight line, so that's where they kind of even out almost.
So on the restart, it looks like Spinkiewicz was not able to shake Benjamin Goethe, but the two were able to shake Will Morrison. So the gap between the two of them is 0.3 of a second. It is the 20 from the 69 at the moment. Of course, Will Morrison returning the championship after some time away. He's got lured back in with a Gen 5, and there, of course, is the battle with Ricky Cooper and his DC500 and Tega just in front. But Spinkiewicz now trying to put himself a gap. Oh, a little bit loose there from the back end of Benjamin Goethe. And actually, it looks like Will Morrison is catching back up. He's not too far away anymore as the one wheel up in the air through turn 10, which has certainly been a hot spot throughout all of our NGK UAE ProCar races so far this season. But Spinkiewicz now managing to put a gap between himself and Benjamin Goethe, who locks up a little bit there on the right rear coming through turn 13. Just under 1.5 minutes to go on the clock. Racing across the line now. It's Missouri, who leads now by 2.9 seconds to the good of Ahmed Al-Majid.
He goes into his last lap, so for Halil Al-Mazroui, he's going to complete 10 laps of racing, reduced time thanks to the safety car that we had in the middle of the race. But still, I am baffled and delighted that the incredible work from the marshals got us cleaned up in only about 5 minutes, which is absolutely astonishing with the amount of debris that was out there on the circuit, and only another 2 minutes added on to get us racing again with the safety car procedure. So they are on the last lap. Halil Al-Mazroui is in front of Ahmed Al-Majid, and then Fabien Defiot, René Munich and Alexandros Anivas. Then it is that man, Ricky Cooper, in P6, in car 6, and then the Clios of Spinkiewicz, Goethe and Morrison, with Ahmed Al-Malahi in 4th place ahead of Charlotte Simmons, or at least that was the case, but Charlotte Simmons has now been caught and passed by Rahil Taneja, who has got up into 5th position. So not quite the podium for Charlotte Simmons this time by the look of it, although there is still half a lap to go.
And there's also the second race to go as well with the NGK UAE ProCar Championship coming up later today. Here, of course, is the race leader, the 977, out in front by 2.9 seconds. There is Ahmed Al-Majid. Much different lines compared to the two drivers. Of course, Al-Mazroui had experience already last week in this car. Ahmed Al-Majid is new to this car. Of course, raced in the A86 car last week, but has decided to move his way up and into the GTC category behind the wheel of one of the Porsches here this weekend. Fabien Defuchs is out in front in Class 1 because, of course, he is running with the two TCR cars behind him, René Munich and Alexandros Anivas, who are doing battle and have done since essentially the green flag dropped not once but twice here, especially after the safety car. But through now the penultimate corner comes our race leader. Al-Mazroui will work his way now into the final corner for one final time to bring a close to an eventful NGK UAE ProCar Championship.
What a great race it's been for Halil Al-Mazroui. He takes the checkered flag victory in race 1 of the NGK UAE ProCar Championship here this weekend. Ahmed Al-Majid in a fabulous 2nd place, and he's ecstatic with that. 3rd place for Fabien Defiot. The BMW is triumphant in class ahead of René Munich and Alexandros Anivas. It'll be a bit of a pause now between 5th and 6th coming across the line. Alexandros Anivas will be in front of Ricky Cooper, and still they're battling on the last lap in the Clios. And there it is, Halil Al-Mazroui on home turf gets the victory after 10 laps of racing in the GTC category. Excellent stuff from them. They're still racing on the back straight in the Clios, so it's been fantastic for them up to this point. But it is going to be P6 for Ricky Kumba. They will come through now to come home in 6th position in front of the winner of the Clio race, and that is going to be the Polish driver, Jerzy Spinkovic, once again. So through they come. Ricky Kumba will take the checkered flag. He does so for P6, and then across the line it is the winner of the Clio race, Jerzy Spinkovic, in front of Benjamin Goethe, and then behind him it will be Will Morrison in 3rd. Ahmed Al-Malahi, Rahil Taneja, and Charlotte Simmons, who's put on an excellent display here in front of Sultan Al-Sawaidi. And then the last few drivers home will be Jahid Karim, Roald Goethe, Avik Anwar, and Arifin Rafai. There is the confirmation. Helal Al-Mazrui in front of Ahmed Al-Majid and Fabian Dufio. Then René Munich, Alexandros Nivas, Kumba, Spinkovic, Goethe, Morrison, and Al-Malahi. From Taneja, Simmons, Al-Sawaidi, and then Karim, Goethe, Anwar, Rafai. And then the retirements, Eduardo Miranda and Kevin Day, after their incident in the middle of the race. Well, it was a very tight race and a very tough battle, but definitely there are some highlights to go over in this one, because the race battle has been fast, furious and frenetic throughout. And hello to all those of you who have been watching, wherever you've been watching from. Big up to the USA Stereo Massive who have been watching along. Let's go through the highlights of this fabulous first race. So right from the start, we knew it was going to be a tricky one. The front row barely getting away at all. Ahmed Al-Majid was the one who got the best start. But then as they compressed through to turn 1, it was René Munich who decided to write his own racetrack. He decided to go left and give away 3 positions, or gain 3 positions. He only actually handed back 2 of them, so there could be a penalty coming his way. The Clios were getting up to a fantastic race, and then it all started to go awry as into second went Benjamin Goethe behind Jerzy Spinkovic. And then this moment as Taneja battles away, and unfortunately he would connect with 2 of his rivals. And Ivas and Munich would race for position, battling tooth and nail in fantastic style, wheel to wheel in the TCRs, and they gave us a good show. But then this, Taneja into Miranda, bang! Big shunt. Unfortunately, Miranda and Day are okay, but he brought out the safety car. The recovery crews did an amazing job to clean up the circuit so quickly and to give us a little bit of racing. On the restart, it would be Fabian Dufio versus Ahmed Al-Majid until the Porsche driver finally got his way and managed to get the overtaking move he was after. And the Porsche driver able to succumb. And Nivas unfortunate to almost career into the back of his opponent, and that really threw the Cupra TCR off kilter. But it's Helal Al-Mazrui who managed to get the race victory in fantastic style in front of Ahmed Al-Majid and Fabian Dufio. This man from the United Arab Emirates in fine style, commanding his troops out there on the race circuit and taking a famous victory. Ahmed Al-Majid in 2nd, Fabian Dufio in 3rd. In the Clios, the win went the way of Jerzy Spinkovic. So a great first race. There will be more races to come later today in race 2. Enjoy the action from Dubai Autodrome as we will return later this afternoon for more great action from the NGK UAE ProCar Championship.